Hi students, and welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian and I'm streaming to you from beautiful Victoria here in Western Canada. Great to have all of you here with me today. Hi Abraham, Ariadna, Omid, Ahmed. Good to see students in the class ready to learn. Students, today it's a reading class. And we're going to be reading about earthquake preparedness. Excuse me. Earthquake preparedness means being ready just in case an earthquake happens. And this class, of course, is very useful for the IELTS, but you know, it's also a good class for just some life skills. We never know when natural disasters can happen. I'm sure some of you are aware that Jamaica was hit by a terrible hurricane recently, Hurricane Melissa. So being prepared, being ready is always a bit of wisdom here. This lesson is presented to you by aehelp.com for academic IELTS. Visit us there for the general IELTS. Check us out at gieltshelp.com. These are our websites. They house these materials. Today's reading is coming from our academic website. The websites look like this. This is aehelp.com. All you need to do to join the premium version is click this big red button right there. It's a one-time payment. You get lifetime access. It's not a subscription model. You only pay once and it only costs about 30 to 50 bucks US. But today we've got this really great discount code for you because it's Cyber Mondays. So you need to just put in the code CBMN, and when you apply that, it will take 30% off the price. So I think it's like 35 bucks US, something like that, or even less. In some countries, it's probably only like 18 bucks US. So it's a steal. You get lots of great materials, courses, access to extra lessons. General IELTS looks like this: gieltshelp.com. Again, just click that big red button. We're an IDP affiliate, a British Council partner, and an IELTS test registration center. Students are in good hands with us. We help thousands of students prepare for their exams every single month. For those of you who are premium users, we have some extra classes this week. We've got speaking for you on a Friday. I'm kind of going backwards here. And on Thursday, we'll have reading. Sorry, I should update this. This should say reading. And today we have reading there. So lots of reading, lots of speaking this week. For those of you who feel like you need to improve in reading and speaking, try to join as many classes as possible. Carolina, welcome to the chat, everybody. Carolina is our chat moderator. She's here to help. Again, everybody, Cyber Monday deals are on this week. Black Friday is kind of coming to an end, but we've got Cyber Monday. After that, prices, of course, go back kind of more to normal. If you have questions, send me an email, adrian@aehelp.com or admin at aehelp.com. I'm always happy to answer questions. Download the apps, link the mobile apps to the web apps, Academic IELTS Help and General IELTS Help. Students, if you're learning for the academic IELTS, focus on the academic IELTS. If you're learning for the general IELTS, focus on the general IELTS. Don't really mix the materials, especially if you're focusing on the academic IELTS. General IELTS, it's a little bit different because general IELTS, the reading section is a bit easier, but section 3 of the general IELTS is basically the same as the reading sections in the academic IELTS. So today's is coming from an academic, but you would see the same kind of reading passage in section 3 of general, or you could for sure. Okay. Instagram, IELTS_AEhelp, GIELTS help, follow us there, and it's all good. Okay, let's do this. So let's get into some reading. So again, students, today the reading, it's called Earthquake Preparedness. Let me just make sure you can see this clearly. Okay. Now, as a first step, what I'd like to do for earthquake preparedness is just read the passage. I know a lot of students, they want to jump to the questions, review the questions, but today we're going to just do some great practice. We'll go through the passage together after again. But first, let's just do like a read through. And when you're practicing for the IELTS exam, your practice isn't always the same as what you're doing in the real test. When you're doing reading at home, sometimes it's just good to read. Like, just read. Don't worry about the questions, but just read. So let's do a read through practice with audio. Okay. Now in the real IELTS, you don't have audio, obviously, you just read. But when you're practicing at home, it's good to have audio for the reading, and that's why we include that with our practice materials. So we're going to hop over to our website here. I'm already kind of logged into my student account. And again, great day to sign up using Cyber Monday. CBMN is the discount code. And then you have all these computer-based practice exams, this full online interactive course, downloadable practice tests, so many videos for every part. And then we have our audio CDs, including the audio for the reading sections. Those students, and I know there are some of you in this class that have premium access, please use the extra audio. We put so much effort into it because we know it's going to help you. Okay. In the test, it tells you where the audio is. So this is track 6 coming from CD 5. Okay. Or in this case, it's going to be exam number 5. So let's do this. Let's dive in. Okay. CD5 track 6. Here we go.
Why do tortoises live so long?
Earthquake preparedness.
Okay, just a sec. Let me put that volume up. So here's earthquake preparedness.
Now turn to section 4.
Earthquake preparedness. Of all natural disasters, earthquakes are likely to be the most devastating. Though earthquakes, most of the time, are only weak tremors which are not even strong enough to knock picture frames off walls, at their strongest, earthquakes can destroy entire cities, killing thousands and displacing millions. For regions of the world affected by earthquakes, being prepared for the big one is crucial to surviving when it eventually occurs. Earthquake preparedness takes 3 forms:
education, construction, and planning.
Those who grow up in earthquake zones are very familiar with so-called earthquake drills. These exercises take place multiple times each year in school, and students practice the appropriate steps to take in the event of an earthquake. The first step is to take shelter under a strong structure. In school, this is often a wooden desk. In the absence of such furniture, a door frame is recommended, as this is the strongest structural part of any room. Next, drop to the ground, cover your head and neck, and only move if there is a safer place to seek shelter within short crawling distance. Keeping your head and neck covered are of critical importance, since falling hazards are one of the biggest dangers in an earthquake. Once the shaking has stopped, people are advised to wait for any aftershocks to occur. Many deaths and injuries occur during aftershocks, smaller earthquakes which occur shortly after the initial quake. So staying sheltered is recommended for up to 10 minutes after the main event. Once sufficient time has passed, people should get to open ground, taking care to avoid falling hazards, especially glass structures such as windows. One of the biggest factors that affects the number of casualties in an earthquake event is the quality of the construction of buildings that people work and reside in. In areas with poor construction standards, these buildings provide little to no protection against earthquakes. In the major earthquake that occurred in Haiti in 2010, poor construction standards were to blame for a large proportion of the casualties. While other countries have higher standards, often these standards are not designed with earthquakes in mind. Many buildings may be built to an otherwise high safety standard, but be almost as defenseless as the Haitian buildings when facing a strong earthquake. In high-risk earthquake zones, all buildings must be constructed with an eye to earthquake preparedness. Buildings in areas such as Japan and the west coast of North America are constructed to shift a certain amount along with an earthquake. This elasticity allows the building to survive the quake. Instead of shaking and being knocked down, they are shaken and return to their original place. This type of construction greatly minimizes the risk to inhabitants in the event of a major earthquake. The final form of earthquake preparedness is planning. People in high-risk areas must have a plan for what to do in the event of an earthquake, and they must plan beforehand so they have appropriate supplies to survive in the initial days after the event. The most important resource after an earthquake is water, and it is recommended people keep enough water for a week, approximately 28 litres per person. Food will not usually be difficult to come by, but water, which relies on municipal delivery systems, which are very likely to be compromised by the quake, is precious. Other critical items such as medical supplies and personal documents should also be stored in a safe place so they can be retrieved after the event. Other measures which are useful to prepare for an earthquake are keeping a flashlight and whistle next to your bed, not hanging falling hazards such as picture frames over your bed, arranging a family contact person outside of your area, arranging a family meeting place, and identifying both hazards and refuge areas within your home, school, and workplace. In the event that you are trapped after an earthquake, do not struggle or kick up dust. Instead, try to make sounds such as blowing on a whistle or tapping on a pipe so that rescuers may locate you. If you have a mobile phone, use it to call or text for help. Earthquakes can be deadly. All the preparedness in the world will not help if a sufficiently large earthquake hits the wrong spot. What can be done, however, is to improve the chances of survival through education, appropriate construction, and diligent planning. Countless lives can be saved.
Very nice. Okay, so let's stop the we're going to stop the audio here. Again, the audio goes with the reading passages here, and we've got lots of these. So again, students, again, a reminder, if you like this and you think this is going to be the right IELTS study material for you, sign up on our website, aehelp.com. Use the Cyber Monday discount, CBMN, during checkout. Okay? All right, let's go through this together. So we're going to look at some yes, no, not given questions. And we're going to look at some sentence ending questions, and then we're going to look at a summary completion type question as well. And we'll go through the strategies of how to do these questions. So first, let's talk about these yes, no, not given, or true, false, not given, okay? Simply put, students, I know in some classes you learn to, read all the questions before you read the passage and search for the answers, look for keywords. That's a bit of bullshit. It's not a good strategy. You can't just search for keywords and you can't just look at questions. You'll get really frustrated. You'll get tired. Your brain will get tired and you'll miss a lot of marks, okay? So don't just skim and scan. Instead, use the correct strategies. Firstly, okay? For true, false, not given, or yes, no, not given, do not review these questions before the passage. The content will confuse you and you're wasting time. Okay? All right, so don't do it. Read first. Okay, you never want to review questions that are not in the passage, information that's not necessarily in the passage. Okay, so this one here, the complete each sentence with the correct ending A to G, it's a little bit different. So you have 18, 19, 20, and basically they give you half of the phrase and you're missing the other half. Okay, now these 4 questions, these 4 pieces of information, these are in the passage. Okay, so there's somewhere in the passage, right? But the choices here, which are A, B, C, D, E, F, G, only 4, because there are 4 questions. So only 4 of these are in the passage accurately. The other 3 are not, and we don't know which ones those are. So we're not going to read that. Why? Because we don't want to read extra confusing information. There's no point. It's the wrong approach. It gets into a kind of a jungle of information in your brain, and then you have trouble figuring out what the passage actually said or what it's about, right? So you want to avoid the choices in this case. But you can read the questions to kind of get an idea of what is in the passage. Okay, so let's read these. 18. The first step after waiting out aftershocks is to something. Now, if you don't understand all the words, like you don't know the word aftershock, don't worry about it. Okay, you don't need to clearly understand the questions before you read the passage. You just want to get an idea of what the kind of content the passage includes. Okay, so keep that in mind. It's really bad when students or candidates in the real IELTS, they are staring at questions trying to figure them out before they even read the question. Okay, so do not try to clearly figure out questions before you read the passage. You have to be mindful of time, right? Just read them, review them, and get as much of a prediction of the passage as possible. Okay, that's all you have to do. All right, I can tell a lot of you are really paying attention. There's not much chatter going on. That's really good, students. It's really good. I feel your energy. Okay, all right, so let's review the remainder. Number 19, poor construction results in buildings that offer. Okay, so I get from this that there will be some information about the construction of buildings. 20, even otherwise well-constructed buildings may be at risk because, okay, so I get that, okay, some buildings may be well-constructed but still not be good for an earthquake. 21, buildings along the west coast of North America and Japan are designed. Okay, so in some parts of the world, there's some special design for buildings. Good. All right, summary question. So here we have the summary, and in some of the summaries, not all of them, but in some of them, you have, again, some choices. Once more, students, don't worry about the choices. Okay, your goal isn't to try to guess the answers before you read. Okay, that's not effective. You're not going to do great if you do that. So here, just read the summary. Just read the summary and do not pay attention to the choices. Okay, leave those for later. That's why I actually like the computer-based test, because in the computer-based test, for a lot of questions, you don't see the choices unless you actually hit the drop-down menu. Okay, and that's actually really good, because all you'd have to do then is just don't hit the drop-down menu before you read the passage, right? Like, just read the passage. Okay, so let me make a note of that, because I know most people are taking computer-based practice exams, right? So to avoid your eyes being drawn to answer choices in the computer-based exam, just simply don't hit the drop down menu to see the answers until after you have read the passage. And if some of you in the class are thinking, well, Adrian, there's not enough time to read the passage, you know, If you can't read the passage in 10 minutes, don't sit the IELTS exam. I'm going to tell you that straight up. I'm not going to be one of those BSing teachers that says, oh, just skim and scan and you'll still do okay. No, you won't. And if you luck out, you're going to be so tired that by the time you do the writing section, your writing section is going to be awful. Okay? So if you cannot read the passage in 10 minutes or less and understand at least 70% of the content, don't waste your money on sitting the IELTS exam. Wait. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to say do it anyway. If you can't do it, just wait. Find another way. If you have to submit your application soon, ask for an extension on the time. Okay, because you're just going to end up being frustrated and wasting your money. Okay, don't do that. I'm not going to give you some false hope. Okay, I don't do that, and we don't do that in our course either. There's way too many courses out there that do that. We don't do that. We don't want to give you false hope. Okay, we want to give you real hope and real strategies. All right. So let's read this paragraph. Earthquake planning. Planning is incredibly important for surviving an earthquake. They must make sure in advance that they have appropriate something to survive after the event. Something is the most critical resource after an earthquake. Since municipal sources may be damaged and unavailable, conversely, something will be less scarce because it is less likely to be compromised in an earthquake. Some measures to take in preparation for an earthquake include storing medical supplies in a safe place, not hanging picture frames above your bed, and identifying something in your home and workplace. In the event of an earthquake, try to call for help using your phone, or if you are trapped, try something on a pipe. All right, cool. Again, students, read with me. This is not a listening class. This is a reading class. So make sure that you are reading. Okay, so read with me and read aloud if you can. Okay, aloud means that you can hear yourself. It's not out loud, it's aloud. Read aloud. Okay. Again, if you didn't understand all of that paragraph, don't worry. Don't worry about it. We'll get back there. Okay. All right, so let's look at this passage again. We're going to read it one more time. Students, when you're practicing at home, the goal is not to rush through passages. The goal is not to try to digest as many passages as possible before your exam. The goal is to learn, understand, build fluency, build comprehension, so when you get to your exam, you can do a great job. And that's why I'm here. I'm here to help you do that, okay? With me? Yeah? Okay. All right. Let's do this, students. Again, I don't see a lot of chatter. Am I disconnected from you? Are you guys chatting? I don't know. Let me see. I'm going to just do a refresh here. I'm a little bit worried at this point. Oh, okay. Okay, you're just really paying attention, it seems like. That's good too. All right, well, let's dive in. So I'll show you what to do. Earthquake preparedness, always read the title first, students. Okay. Now I see a little chatter. And then think about, okay, well, what do I need to do to be prepared? Like, how do you even prepare for an earthquake, right? They're so surprising, unexpected. Let's find out. Okay, and again, students, beyond just IELTS in this class, like we try to share valuable information with you all the time about, you know, how to live your best lives and being prepared for natural disasters. Just even a simple step like keep an extra jug of water at home, okay, can save a life. All right, here we go. Of all natural disasters, earthquakes are likely to be the most devastating, though earthquakes, most of the time, are only weak tremors which are not even strong enough to knock picture frames off walls. At their strongest, earthquakes can destroy entire cities, killing thousands and displacing millions. For regions of the world affected by earthquakes, being prepared for the big one is crucial to surviving when it eventually occurs. Earthquake preparedness takes three forms: education, construction, and planning. Students, really pay attention, especially to the last 1 or 2 sentences of an introductory paragraph. That's your thesis statement. And the thesis statement will often outline the main points of the passage. So here the main points are education, construction, planning. This is a very clear thesis. A thesis is not always this direct, this clear. Okay, this one's really clear and direct. So you know that the first paragraph will talk about education. The second or third paragraph will talk about construction. Okay, and then as we get lower, planning will probably be discussed. So here it is, right? Preparedness and planning. Okay. So really pay attention to that. I'll make a note of that as well for those of you who are kind of unfamiliar with this. Okay. So note, this is a very important strategy, okay? And this is standard. Okay, this is standard for everybody, all right? The last sentence of the introductory paragraph is the thesis. Pay careful attention to this, as it gives you the key points of the passage and the structure or order of the passage. Okay, really pay attention to that. It's a very good tip. Okay. All right, let's read and then let's go through this. So next paragraph, those who grow up in earthquake zones are very familiar with so-called earthquake drills. These exercises take place multiple times each year in school, and students practice the appropriate steps to take in the event of an earthquake. The first step is to take shelter under a strong structure. In school, this is often a wooden desk. In the absence of such furniture, a door frame is recommended, as this is the strongest structural part of any room. Next, drop to the ground, cover your head and neck, and only move if there is a safer place to seek shelter within short crawling distance. Keeping your head and neck covered are of critical importance, since falling hazards are one of the biggest dangers in an earthquake. Once the shaking has stopped, people are advised to wait for any aftershocks to occur. Many deaths and injuries occur during aftershocks. Smaller earthquakes, which occur shortly after the initial quake, so staying sheltered is recommended for up to 10 minutes after the main event. Once sufficient time has passed, people should get to open ground, taking care to avoid falling hazards, especially glass structures such as windows. Okay, students, really important tip strategy. When you read a paragraph, ask yourself, what is this about? It is about the education or training for earthquakes. That requires hiding under a strong structure and moving to open ground after the aftershocks. Okay, all right. So if you're reading at this speed, students, it's fine. And if you can understand this much and summarize this well, then you're on the right track. Okay, if you can do that for each paragraph as you read in the real IELTS, you can even write this down into your notes so you can reference and find answers quickly, then you are on the right track. If you can't do this, don't sit the IELTS exam. At least not yet. Don't waste your money. Don't waste your time. Don't waste your energy. Don't waste your nerves. Okay, don't stress unnecessarily. Okay. The next one you're doing in the chat, students. So I'm looking at the chat here. And I want you to answer the question of what is this paragraph about, okay? All right, and I see some of you saying, I'm scoring good, 758, good, 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 good. Adesanya, good to have you in the class. Thank you for becoming a member. Okay, let's do this. So let's read and then answer the question, what is this paragraph about? One of the biggest factors that affects the number of casualties in an earthquake event is the quality of the construction of buildings that people work and reside in. In areas with poor construction standards, these buildings provide little to no protection against earthquakes. In the major earthquake that occurred in Haiti in 2010, poor construction standards were to blame for a large proportion of the casualties. While other countries have higher standards, often these standards are not designed with earthquakes in mind. Many buildings may be built to an otherwise high safety standard, but be almost as defenseless as the Haitian buildings when facing a strong earthquake. In high-risk earthquake zones, all buildings must be constructed with an eye to earthquake preparedness. Buildings in areas such as Japan and the west coast of North America are constructed to shift a certain amount along with an earthquake. This elasticity allows the building to survive the quake. Instead of shaking and being knocked down, they are shaken and return to their original place. This type of construction greatly minimizes the risk to inhabitants in the event of a major earthquake. Okay, good. So, students, your turn. What is this paragraph about? Don't be shy. If you make a mistake, all good. Mistakes are how we learn. I'm looking at the chat here. Okay. Ahmed says of good construction standards. Ahmed, that's a part of it. I need a full sentence answer. Okay. Smita says the types of construction affecting the lives of inhabitants. That's also just a part of it. You need a full sentence answer. Try again. Start putting it together. Students, start putting your answers together. Look at each other's answers. Alexander says factors that influence casualties. I think that's too general, Alexander. Education is also a factor that influences casualties. This paragraph is more specific. Okay, your answers have to be accurate, students. They have to be specific enough to give a clear understanding, but not so specific that you're just rewriting the paragraph. Okay, think about that. So while you write some more answers, I'm going to give you that tip here. Okay, so when you summarize each paragraph into a complex, compound sentence, shouldn't just be a phrase, not just a phrase. Some of you are doing that. It must be specific to the paragraph content, not general, as some of you are doing, but not so specific that you are just rewriting the paragraph. Okay, so don't write more than one sentence, right? Okay. Flying Dragon, good. I see a full sentence answer there from Adesanya as well. Nice. Let's take a look. So, Adesanya says the paragraph is talking about the type of construction affecting inhabitants living in countries affected and how to prevent them when constructing buildings. Okay, not bad, Adesanya. So you're getting better. Don't put a question into your statement like the how to prevent. Tell me how to prevent. Okay, tell me how to prevent. Don't just ask in the statement. Okay, Flying Dragon. It says the paragraph is about requires for the construction of building for different parts of the world. I think that's too general. I don't think that gives me the right idea. Bintel Brar says the paragraph explains how building construction quality and earthquake resistant design. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of the question markers like how to. While that would be okay in another situation, in academics, in an exam, no. Okay, so let me iterate this again. When you answer the summary of the paragraph, do not respond as a question. For example, the paragraph is about how to ... Okay? Instead, create a statement. Okay? Like, the paragraph is about poor construction and construction that is not intended for earthquakes resulting in death and destruction. However, places like Japan construct buildings that move during an earthquake and don't fall down. Okay, so something like that. All right, this is a complex compound sentence. Of course, you're also practicing your English by creating a sentence like this. All right, everybody got it? So that's what you're going for when you're summarizing it. Okay, it's not the only sentence. You can write different kinds of sentences here, but it's the right sentence. Okay, so it's not a question. This paragraph is about how. It's the statement. The paragraph is about poor construction and construction that is not intended for earthquakes resulting in death and destruction. However, places like Japan construct buildings that move during an earthquake and don't fall down. Okay? All right, that's it. That's your complex sentence. That's what you need to do. So let's try that for the next one. Okay, students, a statement sentence that captures the paragraph. Don't worry about grammar or spelling mistakes. Just focus on the sentence. Okay? The final form of earthquake preparedness is planning. People in high-risk areas must have a plan for what to do in the event of an earthquake, and they must plan beforehand so they have appropriate supplies to survive in the initial days after the event. The most important resource after an earthquake is water, and it is recommended people keep enough water for a week, approximately 28 liters per person. Food will not usually be difficult to come by, but water, which relies on municipal water delivery systems, which are very likely to be compromised by the earthquake, is precious. Other critical items such as medical supplies and personal documents should also be stored in a safe place so they can be retrieved after the event. Other measures which are useful to prepare for an earthquake are keeping a flashlight and whistle next to your bed, not hanging falling hazards such as picture frames over your bed, arranging a family contact person outside of your area, arranging a family meeting place, and identifying both hazards and refuge areas within your home, school, and workplace. What is this paragraph about? Okay, Ugulhan, yes you can, but it's too simple. It's too simple. You want a little bit more detail so you get more ideas for your answer, Ugulhan. That's for the previous paragraph. Okay. So Ahmet has an answer here. Starting, I can see it, Ahmet. You're starting the answer. Good, good. So Ahmet says, this paragraph explains the key factors for preparedness, including, it's a good start, Ahmed. This paragraph explains the key factors for preparedness, including what? Bente says the paragraph explains earthquake safety planning like storing water supplies, setting family meeting points. Okay, I like it. I like it. I would maybe add a little bit more, but, you know, Bintel, I think that is much better than the last one that you gave me. Much better. Awesome. You got it. You clicked, right? You're like, oh, I get it. That's what I'm supposed to do. Now I will be able to answer these questions way easier. Okay. Yeah, maybe one that I would add, Bintel, one that's kind of, it takes those 3 points, right? It says like water's a really important one, some equipment, right? Like some supplies. Water, supplies, meeting points, And there's one more that you missed, which is hazards. Okay, hazards was the one there. And then I would say that Bintel, you have a perfectly good summary there. Okay, with that, right? And I see some others doing the same now. So Flying Dragon says, this paragraph talked about how to be prepared, not questions. Flying Dragon, no questions. This paragraph talked about being prepared for the event of an earthquake, having the necessities for survival like water, supplies, meeting points, and avoid hazards, right? So far, the best answer goes to Bintel. Let's see if anybody else got it. Okay. Abraham, I like it. So Abraham says, do's and don'ts for earthquake preparedness. Do keep water, medicine, flashlight. Don't worry about food, and don't hang pictures above your bed. Very good, Abraham. Not perfect grammar, not perfect spelling, but a very nice way to approach this. The do's and don'ts of earthquake preparedness. Very nice. I like it. It's do's and don'ts is what we say. We actually stick these S's on the end there. Love it. And then you explain it. And you know what? You did 2 sentences, Abraham, and that's okay. Very nice. Students, now you're rocking and rolling. Okay, now some of you are figuring this out. Adesanya says, the paragraph explains safety preparations like storing of water, medical supplies, flashlight, whistles. However, food should not be worried about, and avoid hanging objects. Very good, Adesanya. Very good. Okay, great. Love the interaction. Students loving what I'm seeing now in the chat. Very nice. Very nice. Hats off. Okay, so let's read the final conclusion here, and then we'll answer the questions. So in the event that you are trapped after an earthquake, do not struggle or kick up dust. Instead, try to make sounds such as blowing on a whistle or tapping on a pipe so that rescuers may locate you. And if you have a mobile phone, use it to call or text for help. Earthquakes can be deadly. All the preparedness in the world will not help if a sufficiently large earthquake hits the wrong spot. What can be done, however, is to improve the chances of survival. Through education, appropriate construction, and diligent planning, countless lives can be saved. Very nice. Okay, so let's answer these questions. And now you're going to see that when you do this strategy, when you think about what the paragraph is about, you can really do a good job and very quickly of these true, false, not given questions. So this question, do the following statements agree with the claims of the writer in reading passage 2? And boxes 14 to 17 on your answer sheet, write yes, no, not given. Yes, if the statement agrees with the claims of the writer. No, if the statement contradicts the claims of the writer. Not given if it is impossible to say what the writer thinks about this. Okay. Number 14. Most earthquakes are strong enough to cause some damage. First question, students, is this important? Yes or no? If it's a yes, it's given. If it's a no, it's not given. Is it important to know whether or not most earthquakes go? Yes, so it's given. Okay, watch the logic here. Okay. Next question then. Is it true? Is it true then? Is it true that most earthquakes are strong enough to cause some damage? The answer? No. Therefore, the answer is no. Okay? Now, the quick answer here comes from visualization, so seeing the answer. Okay? Most earthquakes are not strong enough to cause damage. Every day there are tens of thousands of earthquakes around the world, but they don't cause damage, thankfully. Okay? It's right here. Though earthquakes most of the time are only weak tremors, which are not even strong enough to knock picture frames off the wall, at their strongest, they destroy entire cities. So there's your answer there. Though earthquakes most of the time are only weak tremors, which are not even strong enough to knock picture frames off the wall. Okay. So the answer is no, most are weak, thankfully. In fact, students, here where I live in Victoria, in the past half year, we had 3 earthquakes, and they were strong enough that we could feel them. But they still weren't strong enough to cause a lot of damage. So thankfully, fingers crossed, okay? We had some 3s and some 4s here around Vancouver Island where I live. I felt 2 of them, one at 5 a.m. when I was sleeping. It was like 5 months ago ish. Scary stuff, but thankfully they weren't strong enough to cause damage. Whew. Okay. Sadly, I know Turkey had a bad one last year. Yeah, so it's good to be prepared. Okay, let's go to number 15. Again, that's why we try to cover these topics that prepare you for the world. Okay, number 15. The strongest part of the room is furthest away from windows that can shatter. Is it important to know what the strongest part of the room is? The tricky one. Is it important to know what? Yes, it is. So maybe given. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Is the strongest part of the room furthest away from the windows? Okay. What does the author give here? Watch, it's going to be an interesting one because this is a little bit of a tricky one. You think it's given, but it's actually not given. But here's an interesting way to figure out how it's not given. Okay. So is it important to know? Yes, it is, right? Does anybody remember what the strongest part of the room is? It's usually the door frame, right? The door frame. But here's how we figure this out. Is the strongest part of the room furthest away from the windows? No, it's the door frame, right? Okay, then here's the next question. Does the author say door frames are the furthest away from windows? Right? So you keep going with this logic here, right? So does the author say that door frames are the furthest away from the windows? No, because that's just silly. We know that that's often not true, right? So now we realize that no, because that's silly. So this is not given. Right? The author doesn't talk about it. It might be true, it might not be true, but the author doesn't talk about it. So Abraham says, my window is next to my door. Right. Yeah. So the author doesn't talk about it, right? Okay, students, these last two I'm going to leave for you to figure out, and we're going to jump to the complete the sentence ending. So number 16, number 17, do that on your own, and I'll put the answer key into our YouTube community, okay? So 16, your head and neck are the weakest parts of your body and must be protected. Aftershocks are incredibly dangerous. Figure that out from the passage from reading. You can review this class later, of course, on YouTube, and I will give you the answers in the community chat, okay? Let's do 18 and 19. So 18 and 19, we have to finish these sentences. Now, the trick with this is don't worry about the choices. Just try to finish on your own first. So number 18, the first step after waiting out aftershocks is to what? So the way you do this is answer on your own. Okay? So the first step after waiting out an aftershock is to do what? What do we do? Students, tell me in the chat. Okay? Ahmed says to find good shelter. Abraham says that is the most home design in here. Okay. Ariadna says staying sheltered. Okay. Smita says wait for 10 minutes. Okay. So we've got a few different answers here. Some of you are saying stay sheltered. We've got another answer which is wait for 10 minutes. We've already waited here though, right? I think it says the first step after waiting out the aftershock. So my answer after we wait out the aftershock is go to open ground, right? That's going to be your safest place in an earthquake is open ground. Okay, that's my answer. Go to an open area. Okay, it says you've waited here. You're waiting out the aftershock. So let's see which one. Okay, let's see what it says. Now we look at the choices. Now we try to match the choice. A, are not designed to withstand earthquake? No. Leave the building and find open ground. Okay, it looks like my answer. A modicum of earthquake, that's none of ours. A move in response to an earthquake? No, that's none of ours. Lack the flexibility? No. Withstand earthquakes due to rigid construction? No. Little protection in earthquakes. So the correct answer is leave the building and find open ground. Yeah, Ariadna says, so after aftershock. Yeah. The key phrase here is waiting out aftershocks. After waiting out aftershocks. After waiting out aftershocks. Go to open ground. So the answer here is B. Okay, it's okay. You'll get the hang of it. Okay, students, number 19. Poor construction. Poor construction results in buildings that offer what? Okay. All right. Yeah, Adesanya, in the IELTS you would just write B, or you would just choose B in your drop-down menu. Okay. So you want to answer on your own. Okay. All right. Adesanya, I hope you're not answering with A, because that's how you get it wrong. You have to answer on your own first. So poor construction results in buildings that offer what? Ariadna says poor shelter, poor standards. Keep it simple, students. Okay, so we've got poor shelter. Yeah, that's okay, Ariadna. Mr. Romaine says less safety. Yeah. Abraham says shake and collapse. Now, careful, Abraham, with the verb offer, right? Poor shelter is okay. Less should be little. Little safety is the correct grammar, right? Shake and collapse is not the right grammar. Adesanya says no safety. Good. See, Adesanya, that's the difference between thinking on your own and just trying to look for the answer. Good. Okay, let's look for that. Are not designed to withstand earthquakes. Leave the building and find open ground. A modicum of earthquake protection. What does this modicum mean? I don't know. I don't need to choose it. It's just not necessarily the answer. Move in response to an earthquake. No, they don't do that. Lack the flexibility that Haitian buildings have. Definitely not. Withstand earthquakes due to their rigid construction. Little protection in an earthquake. Who was that? Somebody gave us that answer. Somebody just said little safety. Who gave us little safety? Or less safety. Right? It was one of the students there. Said less safety. right? That was a good answer. G is the right answer. Okay, so that's why you think about it on your own first. Okay, so that's G. This one's B. So that's how you do that. Okay, that's how you do that, students. Number 20 and 21, I'm going to leave to you because now you understand it, right? So even otherwise well-constructed buildings may be at risk because they finish that on your own. Buildings along the west coast of North America and Japan are designed to something. Finish it on your own. I will share the answer key in the YouTube community chat. Students, sign up, subscribe to the channel, get all our videos, okay? Here we have one more kind of question. It's the paragraph completion. Let's do this. So earthquake planning. Planning is incredibly important for surviving an earthquake. They must make sure in advance that they have appropriate what? What do you think goes in there? What word would you put in there? It's the same concept here, okay? Multiple choice. There are lots of different types of multiple choice questions. This is also a kind of multiple choice because your choices are down here and there are multiple of them. So they must make sure in advance that they have appropriate, okay? Abraham says protection or safety. Smita says supplies. Yeah, because it's earthquake planning, right? So pay attention to that. Appropriate water is not correct grammar, Ugulhan. But Smita, supplies is absolutely correct. And if we look at the choices, it's right there. Supplies, right? If you choose an answer that's not there, that's going to be a problem, okay? Appropriate resource is also not correct, Mr. Romain. Supplies, plural, right, is the right answer. They have appropriate supplies. The resource is not correct because it's not plural. It should be resources, okay? If you had the answer resources, it could be correct, but that's not the case here. It's a singular. So here it's supplies, which is H. And so you put H into the answer key. Okay? Students, same concept for the rest of these. So I'm going to show you the rest and the choices, and you can complete this now on your own because you know what the passage is. The goal here is for you to understand and do the exercise. The goal is not for me to give you the answers. Okay? I will give you the answers, but I will give them to you after you do your best and you use your critical thinking and these strategies to improve and to succeed on your next exam, right? So that's the idea. So complete 23 to 26, that's your homework. Complete 20 and 21, that's your homework. And complete 16 and 17, that's your homework, using the strategies and this passage. If you want to do it more efficiently, now's the right time. We've got Cyber Monday deals. You've got the website here, aehelp.com. All of the materials are found here in your lesson videos, in your exam books, in your interactive course, and of course the audio that we used for the reading, which is here. It was actually audio track 5 in the reading passage, exam 5, track 5. Okay, so students, that's the academic. If you're using general, you won't find this passage, but I will post the passage in the YouTube community. Okay, thank you, Carolina, for putting up that post. General IELTS students, it's gieltshelp.com. Tomorrow, students, we're doing speaking, and you will have a chance to speak with me. I use Zoom in combination with YouTube, so you can speak together. Premium students, you've got 4 classes, this one, tomorrow, and Thursday and Friday. Again, subscribe, like the channel, be you, be awesome, always persevere, always look forward, learn from the before and the past. I'm Adrian, I'm signing out. If you live in an earthquake zone, be prepared, be smart, store water. Love you all, wherever you are in the world. Take care, enjoy the rest of your day. Bye, everybody.